What is up, you guys? Brooke here. If y'all have been following me for some time now, you should know by now that I am more so a pantser slash plantser, more so pantser, when it comes to the things of writing and the whole writing process in general. What I do is I have an idea of what I want my story to be, and I keep it all up here, and I outline all up in here. But I do not like to outline on paper. But that was then, and this is now. Now I'm a changed writer, and I actually kinda somewhat like outlining? What is up with that? When did that ever happen? I never knew this day would come. If you haven't seen one of my latest videos I had put up, I showed myself doing an outline. Actually, not even just an outline. I did 2 outlines. I did an outlining vlog of where I outlined 2 books back to back. Both of those books are my duology that I am currently working on. And it was great to do and to try and test out, and so I really liked doing it, even though I did not want to do it by any means. But I will say that I outlined my books in ways that normal plotters would not have been gung-ho about. I still kinda had the pantser in me for whenever I was outlining, and the pantser in me greatly enjoyed not having to list every insignificant detail about my books. But anyway, let's get into the gist of this video and why I'm here talking to you guys today. I am here to go ahead and go over 10 ways that you can outline your book when you absolutely hate outlining. This is kinda, in a way, an outlining tutorial for those pantsers out there, because I do feel like that this could help you along in the outlining process, but not really getting into all of like the craziness of outlining. My way of outlining, I feel like, is more so for pantsers out there, but any plotter out there is welcome to continue watching. But yes, any pantsers out there, this video is for you, and this is how you can go ahead and outline without wanting to just pull out all of your hair. So tip number 1 is to write by the seat of your pants first. That's right, I said it, write first. Don't outline, write. One of the main reasons why we pantsers out there don't like outlining is because it takes away our creative juices and our creative flow. We don't want to come up with everything all at once, whenever sometimes it's easier to come up with things along the way. So writing a couple chapters of your book first, you're finding out the genre, the characters, the setting, and all of anything. You're just finding out everything that you can within writing those first couple chapters. And by writing first, you're building these little pieces of a puzzle together before you just go ahead and just try and build the whole dang thing all at once. Writing a couple chapters first gets you into the right mindset of what you want the story to be. With other plotters out there, they like to outline before they even get to know who their characters are. Not saying that you can't like do a character profiles or anything like that. Lots of people do character profiles, but I just feel like that's just not the same. I feel like doing character profiles before you actually start writing about your character, I feel like it's kind of like whenever you're doing online dating, and it's like you're reading all about this person who you might be interested in, and you're just kind of like reading about them, but you're actually not getting to know them. Because oh man, we all know that lots of the people who put themselves out there online are very different in person compared to their online counterpart. So that's why I think writing a couple chapters beforehand is really nice before you actually outline, because you're just getting to know everything. And then once you feel like you've got a groove of things and you have more of a clear image of what your whole book is going to be about, then you actually go ahead and start the outlining process. I felt like it was so much easier doing it this way because I just had more of an angle of what I was wanting to go for. I had actual purpose for outlining. Every time I've tried to outline books in the past before I actually started writing a book, the outlines didn't get written. I never finished them, and that was because I hadn't played with the story yet. So play first and then work on the outline later. My second tip for outlining, for if you're hating the outlining process, is to use the beat sheet formula. If y'all don't know what the beat sheet is, you can go ahead and find it if you buy this one book. I'm not trying to make you spend money, but really, it's really worth your time if you look up Save the Cat and I'll go ahead and put the little book cover right here. If you buy Save the Cat, or I'm sure you can even look up the beat sheet formula online. I'm sure you could do that. But anyway, it's from this book here. The beat sheet formula in this book that they go over, like I said, it's for screenwriting, but it goes into fiction too. It crosses paths with that. It's easy to just keep going with. The beat sheet formula pretty much distinguishes like what all is going to happen in pretty much any type of story ever. It goes over the beginning, which is like the opening image, and then the hook, and then this is the next part that's supposed to happen, and then this part, and then like blah 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 blah. I can't go into it here because I don't know if I'll get in trouble by dissecting the beat sheet formula on here for you guys or not. I felt like this was the best way to outline, because I feel like if you outline without having some type of pattern or formula to follow, that you could just have your outline go on and on and on. And I don't want the outline to keep going on and on. I want the outline to be done and quick and as painless as possible for me to get through. Having your beats that you know you need to meet whenever you're writing a novel, of knowing like the high points in the character's life or the low points, or when they're supposed to be meeting subplot characters, and like when subplots and main plots are supposed to weave together. It's a really great way of how you should know of how a novel should be written, and the exact pattern to try, not the exact pattern, but to try and have some type of pattern and flow to go by in order to create a novel that has all of the beats that need to be hit. Okay, so tip number 3 would be to write everything down on note cards or sticky notes, so that way you can kind of rearrange things and keep things in order or get them out of order in order for the outline to be making sense for you. Going back to the beat sheet here real quick, the beat sheet has like a number of things that need to be hit for a novel, but I feel like you could go out of order with the way of things if you wanted to. There were a couple things in my outline that I knew I wanted to kind of switch around with the beats that were supposed to be in order, but I kind of got them out of order, and it did kind of help me with having those sticky notes and note cards. I use this here, I'm trying to like keep my note card far away, but I use this here, and I just would like kind of put them in order or not in order. You could kind of mess around with them if you wanted to after you wrote down your ideas, but I just liked it this way, so that way I could organize the chaos that I was all writing down. All right, so tip number 4 is to outline by the seat of your pants. Not right by the seat of your pants, outline by the seat of your pants. Whenever I was in the middle of my outlining vlog, I had outlined 2 books back to back. They were my duology. I feel like I said this before, but whatever. Since I'm currently writing my first book and I'm still working on the first one in the duology, I have not yet gotten to write or come up with that many ideas for the second book. I mean, I had ideas. I did. But I wanted to add more ideas to just kind of make the novel have a little bit more meat to it. And so by doing that, I had to come up with some things on the fly that I was kind of nervous to do, because like I said, I'm still in the middle of writing the first book. So writing the second book's outline kind of had me worried, because I wasn't used to writing things all at once and have everything already in mind of what to do, which is why I like tip number 1 for writing first before you outline a book, but oh well. So whenever I was outlining for that second book, it was hard to come up with a lot of things that I didn't really know if I wanted to stay in the outline, and I was scared to write certain things down at first because I was like, I don't know if this is gonna be a set in stone thing or not. I finally was just like, you know what, I'm writing with a pencil and I have an eraser. I can erase whatever I write down. And with that in mind, I just was like, any idea that popped into my head, I was just like, okay, I'll write it down. We'll see if I like it. And there were things that I did erase because they weren't good ideas. And then there were things that I actually liked keeping in the outline. I was just like, that's actually a cool kind of different plot point that I didn't see myself writing down and didn't see coming. So some things that I came up with on the fly rather than like really heavily plotting out, I actually liked. Go ahead and write down some of your cool ideas because they could change later on, but don't be afraid to come up with those ideas and to just kind of play around with things. Tip number 5 is something that I definitely think helps as well whenever you are outlining that doesn't take too much time, and that is to be more plot heavy than story heavy. Think about the things in your book that if for some reason that scene wasn't there, would the rest of the book make sense? Would everything just fall apart without the scene? Don't dive into more of the story aspects of your outline as much because it's just going to take up so much time. You don't have to like write down the meaning behind everything. Let's say the main protagonist of your book is named Sarah. So Sarah needs money because her child is sick and needs some type of transplant of some kind. There's no way that Sarah's going to get enough money and time in order to save her child and in order to get money for this transplant, so she decides to rob a bank. And who does she decide to rob a bank with? Her father, her very estranged father, who she hasn't talked to in years for blah 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 reasons. You don't really have to get into that, just pretty much say, child is sick, need money, go robs a bank with father. There you go. That's all you really need to do. You don't have to do the explanations as to why all of this is happening, and you don't have to explain why everything is so meaningful for this character and having all the backstory. You don't need to do that. You can have that in your head. That's great to have in your head, to already know of the why the character is doing this. But you don't really need to write it down in your outline, because even writing down one sentence as to why her father and her are like not talking. They haven't talked for years. And why have they not talked for years? You don't really need to get into that right now. All you need to know is that Sarah and her father are going to rob a bank for her sick child. That's it. You don't have to go into any more detail than that for this type of outline. Try and remember what Michael Scott says. Kiss! Keep it simple, stupid! So tip number 6 is to use bullet points for whenever you are outlining. If you are using the beat sheet formula from Save the Cat, it will help you out in the long run if you use bullet points, because kind of tying in with the last tip that I had gone over, you don't want to like do heavy details of stuff. I feel like whenever I use bullet points that I just kind of get straight to the good stuff. I keep things short and quick, and I don't like carry on with so much stuff that just doesn't need to be there. Because you can really get bogged down in an outline and you can just start talking about a whole random amount of sort of stuff. But keeping bullet points kind of makes it to where you're wanting to see all of the bullets going down the page. Seeing a bullet point with a big old paragraph is going to make it to where you're thinking, okay, maybe I shouldn't write as much. So not writing as much is exactly what we want for this outlining process here. Tip number 7 is to go ahead and think to yourself before you write something down, do I really need to write this down? And also ask yourself, will I roll my eyes at this later? Have you ever written out a text message to a friend trying to explain a situation that just happened to you in your life, and you write it all out and everything in your head of how you wrote it was great, and then you reread it and you just go, why did I say this? That was just stupid. My autocorrect wasn't even on, and all of this is bullcrap. That's kind of what you need to do here too. You kind of need to just go ahead and think to yourself, is this going to be stupid whenever I reread this back? Is this necessary? Kind of like whenever you're editing a book and you think, is this section really necessary to keep in? Go ahead and reread what you had written down for all of your bullet points on your note cards or sticky notes or paper or whatever you're writing down on. Just make sure it makes sense, and that whenever you look at your outline maybe next week or a month later, that it's going to make sense to you. Keep in the necessities and take out the garbage that is not needed. Take out the things that you will roll your eyes at later and go, why did I write this down? This was a stupid little tidbit of info that did not need to be in my outline. And then tip number 8 is kinda reaching into the plancer/plotter territory of things. And that would be to rewrite your outline whenever you are done with your first draft. Once I'm done writing the first draft and I reread the first draft over, then I'll kind of have a new idea and a new vision of what I want this book to be. Just so that way I have what I want to go by and I have kind of more of a clean, concrete plan for the overall book. And then you'll do the second draft, and after the second draft is all complete, then you'll reread the second draft, and then you'll have to revise your outline again. And why am I keep refreshing and revising my outline, you're wondering? It's because you want to be in the know of what's going on with your book. You want to make sure that everything is making sense, because you can guess that things are making sense whenever you're reading through the entire book, but if you have the main plot points written out in just like some type of quick little outline, then you'll go, okay, this is making sense. Or there might be something in your outline that just doesn't make sense whatsoever. If one beat from that beat sheet doesn't line up with the rest of the beats and doesn't make sense with the rest of the plots going on, then you need to retweak some things in your book. Your outline is a way of making sure that your book is up to speed and is on track with everything that you're wanting to make sure that you're tracking. You're wanting to make sure that you're tying in all of your plots and subplots, and you're making sure that nothing is being overlooked, and you're wanting to make sure that everything is making sense. So keeping up with your outline and making sure that everything is up to date after every new draft is really going to help you out, because you're making sure that you're knowing everything that is going on in your book. Those are my 8 tips on how to outline your book when you just can't stand outlining. I hope these were helpful for you guys. I hope some of this was somewhat new information for you all, and will hopefully be an easier way for you to outline whenever you just are not looking forward to it. I will say that I am more so a pantser plancer at heart, but I guess there is some room for those plotter moments to come along the way for while I'm writing this draft. Do you all do any of these things whenever you're outlining your book, or do you outline your book at all? Please let me know down below, because I would be interested to see who all outlines and who all doesn't, and what system works for you. If this was your first time seeing me in one of my videos, feel free to subscribe for future writing related content coming your way, which I do post on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Y'all should go follow me on my social media accounts, which for the most part I am on Twitter and Instagram, and you can find me at _Brooke Passmore there. And thank you all so much for stopping by today, and I will see you next time.